I'm a cyclist and I live in the Pennines, and welcome to my channel. And after last week's flat ride out into Cheshire, today we headed into the Yorkshire Dales. And the parkour today meant for an undulating ride with over 5,600 feet of climbing over an 83-mile course. And the wind was coming from the north, which meant that it was going to be unseasonably cold. And earlier on in this ride, there was quite a strong group of riders, some of them local legends, and I've not seen them for quite a while, and it was great to meet up. And a quick look at the route profile today. As you can see, we've got quite a few climbs to do there, and there are no real flat sections. There'll be some tough climbs and some really fast descents. And so you're joining us now, about 12.5 miles into the ride, where some of the riders in our group had headed off down the road with the other group.
This bit here, we're going that way towards Nelson and Blackhole. They've gone that way. It all meets up, but that group's gone that way. Okie dokie, where are we? We're in Nelson and Colne area. We're 20 miles into the ride. Hey up, Mike's coming beside me. Hey up, see me? And we're rolling. We're rolling. Hey up, pull me off the road then.
And shortly after Nelson, we headed through Colne, and then we had to take on the long tough climb of Skipton Old Road. And as you can see, a gap was developing in the group. And we've all got mixed abilities, we're all at different weights as well, different sizes. And the main protagonists today on the climb were Mark and Lee, two very strong riders, and myself. And having hit the first crest on this ascent, we then worked together towards the next section. And that was going to be a very steep one.
There's three of us now. We found a breakaway we didn't mean to do. It's a tough climb. That was a good climb. More lane, takes us down to the 59. There's a massive gap here. Here's Owen and Mike. And I must stress, we weren't racing, we're just riding hard. Headwind, a cold headwind.
And so, having had a bit of a debrief about this next descent, because it's pretty dangerous, we proceeded with caution. And you can see there, Mark's behind me, and Lee comes through to get into the line out. And then the pace started to get a bit quicker.
27, 28, 29, 30.
So here we are now on the first major descent of the day, albeit short and narrow. And as you can see, we've got a really good view ahead down the road. I think we maxed out at around 37 or 38 miles per hour, which is pretty quick on these roads. And I must stress, do not try and do this at home unless you're a competent bike rider. You can see Lee there, he's taking a nice line right behind me, looking over his shoulder, and already we've pulled a gap on the rest of the guys. And I think at the end of the day, it's all down to rider choice and style. If it's not your cup of tea going down here pretty quick, you need to stay safe. And I've already smashed my collarbone up twice doing this, but I love it. Anyway, back to this descent. To be honest, I was really enjoying the descent. It was flowing, it felt nice. We can see a sign there that the road's dropping again. We have got damp patches on the road, but it felt good today. And also the crosswinds never seemed to affect us as much as we thought they would do, given the speed we were coming down here at. And this was a really nice little left-hander we took on here. But we're making steady progress on our approach to the small village of Elslack, where we can all regroup and get ready for the next part of the ride, where we cross the A59 and head on towards Gargrave.
Okay, we took a left off the 59. We're on the Gargrave road now. The guys are coming by. It gets a bit undulating now. And if you're wondering where we are, that's the Dalesman Tea Room, and I've got a video where we cycle to that as well. This place is called Coniston Cold. We're 35 miles into the ride. Just took a right off the A65. We're going to a new cafe just down here on this little country lane. Right, we've had to social distance. So I'm on a table with Mike and Phil, and the other guys are over there. There's Owen in his nice pink top.
Now these are social rides, and having devoured that sausage and egg butty, I decided to start talking to the guys on my table about the local rocks and formations where the limestone changes very suddenly around these parts. At which point I was told to be quiet, because nobody's interested in astronomy.
Okay, just a quick look. There you've got your Malham Cove. I wanted to do a route around there, but I don't think the guys are up for it. Right, I think we're off.
And so we headed out towards Hellyfield and Otterburn, where things got a little bit very fast.
Okay, we're all in a nice line. Should have a nice tailwind all the way back. Left, left, left. Well, that got a bit silly and fast then. Andy went off into a bit of a field, were it? Field trip, car back. We went round a corner and there were a few cars coming round the bend and we were all over the place.
And so with the tailwind in our favour and the pace being consistently pretty high, a split in the group developed, while some of the other guys who've been really training hard over the last few months, they basically put people into the hurt locker. And in this case, it was Chris and Phil who were just struggling to hold the wheels. So I went back, said, right guys, come on, get on my wheel, and at least maintain the gap with an aim to catch the guys up ahead.
Right, between Long Preston and Gisborne. I think it's a 682, could be wrong. And the pace is quick with this tailwind, but the group's been split apart quite a lot. Miles an hour, 31, 32, 33. We're trying to bridge the gap and bring back the two guys behind. Which is 30 miles an hour. Okay, there's the cars ahead. That means the guys aren't too far behind.
And all along this stretch of the road, I kept looking behind, saying to the guys, okay, hold my wheel, get on that wheel, you know, you've got to keep constantly coaching them, guiding them. You can't go off like a rocket, you've just got to be riding a steady tempo that brings them back with you.
Into a dip, and then a nice long climb out of it. Still cruising at 30 miles an hour. Not far from Gisborne now. Well, we put a bit of a spurt on there. We've held the gap and the guys are waiting for us just round the corner. We're going to take a left and we've got a nice climb. Okay, we're starting the climb now. That takes us over to Blackhole. It's a long climb. It's not steep, it's just a long one. Yeah, okay, we're approaching the summit of this climb. All together, we've kept it at a nice steady pace so the whole group gets up in one, and then we should get a cracking downhill for our efforts. Okay, let's catch the guys up.
So here we are now, having crested the A682 on the way into Blackhole, which leads into Nelson. Now Lee had held back for me because the group was significantly ahead down the road, and it's always good to have a member of your gang who'll do this for you, a selfless act, and he'll help to get me onto the back of the main bunch. So we had Mark behind having a nature break, and as soon as I catch up with Lee, I'll come through and do my bit on the front for him.
This is the main descent of the day. I've got Lee in front of me and a group ahead. One guy behind having a nature break. 32 miles an hour with a left-hander, then a big right-hander. You alright, Lee? Here's the left-hander, then the big right-hander. 34 miles an hour. Okay, out the saddle. $30 miles an hour, there's the guys. We've we've got muck on the road. There's Owen on the front with Andy.
And you can see there, once you've got momentum, I've got Lee right behind me. We actually passed the group there with some real speed. And unbeknown to us, we actually got some top 10s, top 5s, maybe top 3s on this descent. And they certainly weren't planned. And again, we weren't racing, it just felt really good today. So that initial effort there where I came through, it's very hard to sustain at around 35 and 36 miles per hour. So Lee came through because he would have sensed or could have seen the speed was dropping slightly. I'll tuck in and take a break right behind Lee. As you can hear from the microphone, it's picking up all the air that's coming around his body. The only thing I have to do now is make sure I do not lose his wheel. And I know also that the guys behind, they'll be doing their level best to bridge that gap. And for those of you who may not know this descent, it's not a super steep downhill section here, it's just a gentle slope, so you don't get any massive benefits from gravity, other than the fact that we had a nice wind keeping the pace pretty good. So here I am now, going back to the front, having recovered, and feeling good again to do a bit on the front. And as the road starts to drop, the pace will pick up a little bit more.
36 miles an hour, big left-hander. Miles an hour. Right, we've got parked cars ahead. I can see brake lights. Steady on. Be careful here. Go wide. 33 mile an hour speeding. Right hander. Cars parked up. 34 miles an hour. We are now breaking the speed limit. I do apologise. We've got a big tailwind, a cross tailwind. Who's that? There's Andy. Well, 37 miles an hour now.
And having watched this playback, it was quite clear there that as we took precaution going through that built-up area, Andy and Owen had us set in their sights. And they quickly bridged the gap.
There goes Lee.
But I was trying to be mindful of how fast we were going in this area, and this is where it can get interesting, and I do not advocate doing this. It's dangerous, it's high speed, it's not safe. If anybody pulls out on you, I think that's basically your numbers up. And at times the buzz you get from doing this is hard to explain. I can only imagine that this is what it's like being a TT rider on the Isle of Man circuit, but they're doing 190 miles per hour. But this feels like it. And if you notice there, I've got some great hand signals there from Lee, pointing out grids and things on the road. I'm tucking in now and waiting for Andy and Owen to come through.
36.5 miles an hour. Big right hander, watch it, watch it, watch it. Okay, we need to slow it right down. Left hander and a mini roundabout, be careful here. Watch that mini roundabout, guys. How was that for you then?
Good that. Yeah, nice.
About 40 max.
40ish, I did 84.
K's. Right, we've just stopped for a nature break. Can't help it, just get that feeling, you've got to stop. Right, we've done 60 miles. It's been windy today, to say the least. 3 hours, 39 minutes of riding, and we're averaging 16.5 according to this GPS. It's been quite hilly as well, so we're doing okay. This might get a bit silly. I'm off the back. 29 miles an hour. There goes Mark. Bloody hell, that's 37 miles an hour.
Now this is one of my favourite descents in the whole of the northwest at the moment. It's on the A646 and it leads from Portsmouth into Todmorden. And we were set up here for a super fast descent. We were all strung out in a line, you've got Andy way up ahead, and we were cracking on. But then as we approached more built up areas, unfortunately a car just pulled out and decided to coast in at the speed limit. And it effectively put this descent to bed for the day. It just stopped. It was very frustrating because we knew this had potential. You get that feeling, and as you can see, it all came to a nice, gentle, strolling, rolling end. And in the end, Owen decided to take things into his own hands and he passed the car. But there you have it, that was another fantastic ride out into the Yorkshire Dales to another great cafe. And if you like these videos, let me know and I'll make some more for you. And thank you for watching. And by the time we'd reached our home destinations, we'd got the average speed back up to between 17.1 and 17.2 miles per hour.
You going in cafe? Yeah. Somebody's dropped that.
No, he puts it down, he films his YouTube channel.
Well, there's no wrong with a bit of honesty, is there?
No, absolutely, mate. No, it's alright. Cheers.
There's one there as well.
There's another one, look. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
I'm a cyclist and I live in the Pennines. And look at this bunch coming down the valley.